Hello guys and welcome back to my channel, and it is another tag video today. I decided I wanted to start a tag, and I wanted to start it about something I have a lot of love for other than movies, and I'm going to talk music with you today. I know a lot of fellow movie fans are also, some are in bands, some are massively into their music, so I thought let's start a different kind of little tag today and have some music questions. These questions I've just taken from like an online music survey quiz thing. I didn't want them to be something overly influenced by the type of music I like, so I just wanted to take some random questions overall that may apply to everyone. If I wrote the questions, they would probably be very rock metal kind of orientated, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted them to be more open. I actually have not looked at these questions. Right hand, honestly, have not looked at them. I wanted to give you completely honest answers. If there's loads of and pausing, I will cut it out because there will be, it's me. So there are 18 questions. Let's get kicked on with the music tag. So number one, which band or artist do you own the most albums by? That one's a very quick and easy one, that is Queen. Queen have always been my favourite band. Unfortunately, obviously we lost Freddie. Now I do have a favourite band that are actually alive and performing. Yes, you will say Queen are performing. To me, Queen without Freddie is not Queen. I have nothing against, and the amount of people that argue with this with me, I have nothing against the replacement for Freddie at all. He's very respectful, he's got a very good voice. They pay tribute to Freddie in every concert, but for me, Queen is Freddie Mercury. I would have preferred they went on and give themselves a different name, like Bohemian Rhapsody, like A Night at the Opera, like A Day at the Races. They could have taken a Queen track or album, renamed the band in that respect. But to me, to go on with Queen is like going on with the Rolling Stones without Mick Jagger or Keith Richards. It's just not fathomable. There's just certain integral members to a band that you can't lose, and to me Freddie Mercury was one of those, and that could have been a really quick answer and it wasn't. There we go. Number two, what was the last song you listened to? That's difficult. I cannot think. That would have been in the car. That would probably have been Down with the Sickness by Disturbed, because my son is obsessed with it, and every time we get in the car and we listen to the AV, it comes up AV, audio visual, and he has to, I think that's probably been the last one I listened to. Number three, what's in your CD player right now? I've got like a mix of loads of different stuff. I'm listening to a lot of Hailstorm right now, purely because we're going to see them next year and I'm trying to make my son familiar with the music. He does like rock music. This will be his first gig, he's 10. I'm going to see Hailstorm, who I have seen before and I adore. So I'm listening to a lot of them, Typo Negative, what else? There's like just various stuff I've got. I've also got a really cheesy 80s pop, like with T'Pau and Erasure and Duran Duran and just loads of stuff like that, but it's just a mix of loads of stuff. What was the last show you attended? Okay, I don't get to go to a lot of gigs now. Obviously we have the pandemic. But even prior to that, we have a son. We've got no one to babysit. My parents are very ill. My husband's parents live in England. So, you know, there's no one, no siblings or anything like that. So it's a rarity that we get to go to gigs. The last gig, and when we do, we generally have to do it separately. We have to, my husband will go to one on his own and I'll have to go to one on my own. The last one I went to see was Backyard Babies in 2020, just before the pandemic. It was January and pandemic hit properly in March. And they were, as always, amazing. That is my favourite alive and touring band right now, Backyard Babies. I've been a massive fan for, let's show my age, 20 years now. They're Swedish, they're like a sleaze punk rock band, and I just love the bones of them, absolutely love them. They played in the Limelight in Belfast, which is where my last gig was. What is the greatest show you have ever been to? That's really difficult. Now obviously Backyard Babies, I adore them, I love every show that they put on, but the greatest show I ever went to was Rammstein, supported by Apocalyptica. Now for anyone that doesn't know, Apocalyptica are a metal band that play cellos. You did not mishear me. When I went to see Rammstein, who are a German like industrial metal band who put on a stage show like nothing else. I mean, there was a guy in a cooking pot being pushed around the stage. They were blowing fireworks out of the end of their guitars. They had fire, what are they called? Like the fire comes out at the end. Honestly, it's a visual spectacle. There's a song called Fire Froy, which means like free fire, fire free, and all these big flames come up and it's like this is amazing. But before the gig, there were two stools on the stage, and I'm looking at it thinking, I've come to see Rammstein, heavy industrial metal band. What are these two stools? And then these two guys walked out with cellos. And I'm thinking, what in under God is this? I'm thinking I'm going to get some nice chamber music. Oh my God. I saw Apocalyptica numerous times after this. They play metal on cellos that sounds like electric guitars. You have the bass, you have the rhythm, you have the lead, and it's incredible. I cannot rate them enough. They're called Apocalyptica. If you've never heard of them, check them out. They are absolutely amazing musicians. And because I was so blown away by it, and obviously Rammstein put on such an amazing stage show, that would have to be one of my favourite gigs ever. Number 6, what's the worst show that you've ever been to? Oh my God. The worst shows I've ever been to are ones that I went to with a friend or that I never really knew much about the band. I went to see, what was that band called? I can't remember. There's a band that was god awful and their name won't come to mind. I went to see Flogging Molly and I like a lot of their stuff, and that was dire. The actual live gig was terrible. Now this is going to be really unpopular. 2 gigs that I went to where I adored the band, Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson. Both gigs were really flat, were really dull. I think I just got them on an off night. Both gigs were in Nottingham, in arenas. And I think if we saw them in a smaller venue, it might have been different, but there was just no atmosphere. And I just did not enjoy either gig. Certainly not the worst gigs I've ever been to, but they would be names that you would recognise. Still can't think of the name of that other band. Oh Jesus, it was bad. But to be fair, most gigs I've been to have been pretty decent. But yeah, I would say Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails were really disappointing as to what I was expecting. It wasn't at all what I expected. My husband was with me at both gigs and he has seen both bands previously. And he did say that when he saw Marilyn Manson in a small venue, it was amazing. So it was just an off night. Number 7, what is the most musically involved you have ever been? What does that mean? Does that mean if you've been in a band? I play quite a few instruments. I wouldn't say any particularly well. I play the flute quite well. I took lessons in primary school, continued it on for a few years. You know, like the silver flute, the one you hold like this. So I play like orchestral flute. Then I taught myself to play guitar. That's just pretty damn average, nothing spectacular. I can play keyboards. This is not to be that's what she said. Most things you blow I can play. Most wind instruments follow a very similar sort of pattern. So if you give me like a clarinet or something like that and give me half an hour with it, I can usually play something on it. I love music. I would consider myself to be quite musical, but I've never been in a band, which pains me. I would love to be in a band, but no, unfortunately not. Number 8, what show are you most looking forward to? I've only got 2 gigs booked. One is Hailstorm early next year, and the other is Iron Maiden next May, I believe. Iron Maiden was booked to be Isaac's first metal gig because we wanted a big, something that we knew would be good. It's a big open air gig. But then Hailstorm, like an intimate and evening with in a small venue, came up and we thought, can't miss out on this, so he's going to that first. So I'm really looking forward to both. They're the only gigs I've got planned. Anytime Backyard Babies comes to Northern Ireland, I'm there. Even if they come to Dublin, I'm there. I won't miss them. I have travelled over to Scotland to see them. I adore them. I'll follow them. When I lived in England, I went to like several different gigs night after night after night. I just like followed them around the place. I love them. But yeah, I'll say Hailstorm I'm madly looking forward to. Number 9, what is your favourite band shirt? I have a lot of Backyard Baby shirts and I love them all. I've got a lot of shirts of The Darkness, Queen, Juliet in the Licks, Juliette Lewis. If you've never had the joy of seeing Juliette Lewis perform live, she's amazing. So people are always a bit surprised by, Juliet, is that Juliette Lewis on that shirt? What, so yeah, I'll go with Juliette Lewis purely because a lot of people don't know she's a rock singer and she's incredible. Probably my favourite band shirt though. Number 10, what musician would you like to hang out with for a day? Oh my goodness, that would have been Freddie if he were alive. I can't say I idolise any particular musician. I can't pick one, but I would love to hang out with Backyard Babies for a day. Obviously, that's just such a stereotypical answer. Oh no, let's change this. I would like to hang out with Steven Tyler from Aerosmith for a day. That would be an interesting day. Okay, my camera battery cut out with me waffling. I've obviously waffled too much. So while I was replacing the battery in my camera, who is one musician or group you wish would make a comeback? This is going to be probably a bit out there. Neil Diamond has retired. I've never seen Neil Diamond live and I love the guy. His voice is incredible. He played Belfast a few years back and the tickets were 90 something quid, 90 something pounds. So that would be, if you're in America, over $100. And I'm thinking, I can't spend that amount of money going to a gig just on my own. That's just, I can't justify that at all. And I didn't go. And he retired not long after and I'm gutted and I wish I'd spent the money to go to see Neil Diamond because he's a legend. Other than that, my favourite male vocalist ever is Joe Lynn Turner, who had a stint with Deep Purple and Rainbow. I love Rainbow. I loved his time with Rainbow. I thought he was their best vocalist. Unfortunately, the only track that anyone seems to know that he sings, there's a song called I Surrender, which if you've heard it, you will know it. That's Joe Lynn Turner, but his back catalogue, some of his stuff is amazing. I was lucky enough to see him do an acoustic show in Belfast a few years ago, and his voice is just like velvet. It's just like you hear him on the albums. Amazing, faultless. If you want to know what he sounds like, look up a track called Dreaming. Joe Lynn Turner, and I think Yngwie Malmsteen might be playing guitar on it, but don't quote me on that, I'm not entirely sure, but it's called Dreaming. Oh, it's beautiful. I would love to see Joe Lynn Turner back with Rainbow. So yeah, Neil Diamond, please come back and do some gigs, but I know he's getting on a bit. Joe Lynn Turner with Rainbow, but I don't think that would ever happen. Who is one band artist you've never seen live but always wanted to? Oh my goodness, so many. My husband rubs my nose in so many gigs because being from Northern Ireland, a lot of musicians don't come here. And you miss so many gigs because when you're growing up you can't afford to fly to England to see people. Obviously my husband was born in Yorkshire in England and he got to see everyone he wanted to see growing up. I never did. My first gig was when I was 18. I never got to see Typo Negative, which kills me. I haven't saw Aerosmith. I had a ticket, people will know this story, I had a ticket to see Aerosmith and they changed my son's school sports day to the day of the gig and I had to decide, am I going to go to see Aerosmith or am I going to go to my son's sports day? I chose the sports day and they haven't played again in this country, so I was like, no. But there's loads. Rainbow, although I did see Joe Lynn Turner. I've never seen Metallica. I've never seen Iron Maiden, which I get to see next year. The big bands rarely come here, and when they do, the tickets are so expensive, or when you can afford to do it, you can't because there's no one to look after your kids. So, but the biggest ones that stand out is Typo Negative, Neil Diamond. But yeah, I could go on all night. There's lots. There's so many. Name 4 or more flawless albums. I'm sure you don't want to sit here listening to more flawless albums. I'll give you 2 right off the top of my head. A Night at the Opera and A Day of the Races by Queen, which are my 2 favourite albums of all time, which are, in my opinion, flawless. It's very hard to pick a completely flawless album. Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses is a pretty awesome album. I'm not a massive lover of Axl Rose's voice. Again, unpopular opinion, or as they say today, hot tech. Same with Vince Neil from Motley Crue. I don't like the guy's voice. I love Motley Crue's music, don't like his voice. Don't particularly like Axl's voice. It's very nasally. Love a lot of their stuff. As I say, Appetite for Destruction is a pretty damn good album. I'm looking at my albums. I can say what to me is a fantastic album, but to you might not be. I'll tell you what I love. Metallica did a cover album. I prefer Metallica's version of Whiskey in the Jar to Thin Lizzy's. That's maybe another hot tech, but I do. I just prefer it. It's got more oomph. It's got more balls about it. The 2 Queen albums, Faith No More's Epic. I loved. Is it called Epic? I know the song's called Epic. Is the album called Epic? That album. Typo Negative's October Rust is just a beautiful album. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there because it's really... Oh, Tesla's 5-Man Acoustical Jam, which is a live album, and a live acoustic album by Tesla. They did a video, or they did a gig, it released it on video. Oh, it's amazing. So yeah, let's stick with that. That's enough to be getting on with. How many concerts have you been to in total? I don't know, I'd have to count. It's a lot. I've got a little book somewhere with every gig I've ever been to. If I can find the video, because me and my husband did a video where we went through all my gig tickets and we talked about the gigs. And I'm sure most of you are in no way interested in that, but if I can find it, I'll put it in the description so that you can see what gigs I've been to. Obviously there will be some after the point that I've talked up to, but it'll give you a general gist. It's a lot. I lived in England for 10 years, and in those 10 years I went to every damn gig I could get to, so I've been to quite a few gigs. Who have you seen the most live? That would be Backyard Babies. I've seen them loads. There's a few bands I've seen quite a few times. We've seen The Darkness quite a few times. I've seen who are really Queen inspired, and you would be surprised by The Darkness. If you're going by what you see in the charts, or you might think that guy's voice is really irritating, it's really high pitched. Live, completely different kettle of fish. They are so much heavier. They're such a good live band. But yeah, I think they're the bands I've seen the most. Yeah. What's just occurring to me is when I went to see The Darkness once, they were supported by a band called Foxy Shazam, who I'd never heard of, and my husband, who knows everyone, had never heard of. Oh my god, they were amazing. They were so different. They were just, I absolutely love them now. Now they broke up, but I think they've got back together again. So check out Foxy Shazam. Just brilliant, brilliant band. What is your favourite movie soundtrack? Oh dear. I'm a big fan of Rocky IV. Top Gun, Lost Boys is a fantastic soundtrack. Dirty Dancing is a fantastic soundtrack. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Oh, Trick or Treat, not the one with Sam, but the one with the metal musician. Trick or Treat, not Trick or Treat. That is a album by a rock band called Fastway, and that is amazing. I went to see Fastway at a music festival based on that soundtrack, so yeah, I would say that. What was your last musical phase before you wisened up? Okay, there's one thing that I went through that I'm embarrassed to tell you, but I'll tell you. If you're in the US, I don't know if you'll know of this band. When you're young and hormonal and going from childhood to teen phase, so I would have been 12, there were a band called Bros. It was two brothers, Matt and Luke Goss, and their friend Craig, who played bass. And they're crap. And when I see them on TV now, I hang my head in shame and I go, what the hell was I thinking? It's awful. Hormones is what I was thinking. It was two pretty boys. So it was like the first boy band. So nowadays, I don't know what it would be nowadays, but there was New Kids on the Block, there was NSYNC, there was Blue, you know, all that type of crap. Well, my version was Bros. I'm embarrassed to admit that. Before that, I was listening to stuff mainly my parents would listen to, like the Eagles. I really rate the Eagles. I love the Eagles. Status Quo, Queen a lot as a child. And then I went through this pop phase, which, Bros, give me strength. I stand by the To Pow China in Your Hand, the Aha, Take On Me, Erasure, all that 80s cheese. I stand by that and I still love that stuff. But, Bros, Jesus Christ, no. 18. What is your guilty pleasure that you hate to admit liking? There's nothing I hate to admit I liked Bros. That's embarrassing. Guilty pleasure that I hate to admit liking? There's nothing. I'll admit I like anything. Like I say, 80s cheese. I love Erasure. To Pow China in Your Hand is one of my favourite songs of all time. I love it. And my favourite song of all time, because it's not on this, is Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. It's musical genius. Disturbed's version of The Sound of Silence I prefer to the original. I think musically, orchestrally, that song is beautiful. If you turn it up really loud and listen to it, the musical instruments are describing the story and giving you the effects of rain, and I'll just start fangirling about this song. I love it so much. What was the bloody question? What's your guilty pleasure? I don't have one. I will very happily sing along to Neil Diamond, the Eagles, 80s cheese, and I'm not remotely embarrassed about liking any of it. You like what you like. What makes you tick? It's just one of those things. Mainly I like rock. I like all kinds. I like some industrial. I don't like thrash metal. I don't like black metal. I like rock. Classic rock mainly. I like sort of some industrial stuff. I like a lot of European type stuff. Not, like I say, really, really, really ridiculously heavy, growly stuff I don't like. So that is my answers to the music tag. It's probably really long-winded. I apologise if I just bored the pants off you, but I would adore to see some of you guys do this. There are some people, off the top of my head, JT at the movies, he actually performs in a band and he is amazing. This guy has got such a talent. His voice, the amount of musical instruments he played. He put up a video recently where it's his own song and he's playing all these different instruments and putting them all together. Now, I used to do that as a kid, but on a tape deck, on an old Casio tape deck, and trying to layer over different things, and it was awful, and trying to like sing different harmonies and put them together. But obviously with a tape deck you can't do that, but he's doing it properly and it's just a joy to watch. He sings live a lot of the time, and sometimes they put up when they're playing in pubs, and I think they're amazing. I would love to see them do you know, Man of Constant Sorrow from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Soggy Bottom Boys. I would love to see them cover that because I think he would be fantastic at it. But yeah, I will again put a link to his channel in. What I'll do is I'll put a link in the video, in the description to that video where he's putting together the track so you can hear it. I think quite often we get so sort of caught up in the main thing that we all like to talk about, which is movies, that we skip things that just are fantastic, and this guy's video needs to be seen. He is a movie reviewer. You'll probably all recognise him. I don't know if you will have seen this video in particular, but I encourage you really to watch it. If you've got as far as listening to me waffle, I should have said this at the start, shouldn't I? But yeah, please watch it. It's so well worth watching. So yeah, I would love to see your guys' answers. I know so many of you are so musically talented. Movie Massacre out there, I mean, he is a very talented guitarist. There's probably loads more people. Jason Brett's a talented drummer. Loads of people play musical instruments. Jamie Powell. I'd love to see your answers to these guys, or just even let me know in the comments if you're in a band, if you've played an instrument, what type of things you enjoy, or do a video so we can maybe get this one going around the community. It would be really interesting to see your answers. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Over and out from Lacey Loves.